Remember, today's show is sponsored in part by Today's Restaurant, the food service industry newspaper and one of our sponsors. Today's Restaurant is the trade newspaper for the food service in Georgia and Florida. Get your free subscription online at trnusa.com.
This is Eric and Robin Gagnon, the Restaurant Brokers. We have been talking to Food Network host and news show Save My Bakery, Kerry Vincent, as we satisfy our appetite for acquisition and feed the need for restaurant reality and serve up a recipe for business success. Let's hear some more from Kerry.
So I'm humbled by the opportunity that I have to reach out and give these folks a hand. Whether they want to listen or not is up to them. I understand Elton's reference to tough love. That's being able to convey the story that they don't want to hear with some kind of panache, and I believe I can do that. So I guess the proof of the pudding will be when you watch March 19th and decide whether or not I was that effective, So the good news is that the pilot show went out, and that was the bakery that was in New Jersey, in Collingswood, the Di Bartolo Bakery, and it was very successful because it was originally going to show on the Food Channel, and they moved it to Food Network. So I'm encouraged by the response to that special that they ran, and from the response of my fans who are really dedicated, and because I have such a global pull, I've got all of these people writing from England, Australia, South Africa, and saying to me, "Oh, when are we going to see it?" So we will cross our fingers that it will be picked up by the international distributors and that those people will get their wish. Because I think it's relevant. It doesn't matter what the name of the bakery is. It doesn't matter what the name of the people are. It does to them. But when it gets to a global reach, it's just an example of, is this happening to you? If so, maybe you should start taking a second look at what you're up to.
We have both restaurateurs and would-be restaurant owners and bakery owners and different folks that listen. And many times we visit those restaurants that just haven't kept up with a changing neighborhood or made any updates over time. And wouldn't necessarily even be a bakery. It could be any kind of a restaurant. So what kind of advice would you give to someone listening about how they would keep their restaurant relevant? How do they do it? What should they be doing? And does it take having an outsider come in, or can they educate themselves and make some changes?
Have you seen any that say, hey, you know what? I am trying my best, but I don't believe we can save this one. And then you've been surprised by the family coming together and pulled through. But have you seen something like, I don't think we can do anything with these guys?
I see a little negativity here and there, not necessarily about nothing can happen with these guys. I think it has to be an up moment. It's an exciting but leveling and humbling time for all of them. They have a TV crew in there. That's exciting. We're celebrities. I remind them that you have to make the best of this because it's not just about me. It's about all those 3, 4 million, 5 million people that are going to watch this. This is a massive investment in publicity. There's all of those little things to look at. Then, it's down to you. You need to start thinking. And sometimes it takes a little bit of chatter to get them sort of starting to think about going down a new road. I don't want them to get off the old road entirely. That's who they are. But I want them to, as I said, have a new road directional sign that says new way and add some new things. There is a resistance to hang on to recipes that they are convinced in their minds when they talk to me that they must have on the menu. Okay, so tell me when you sold one of those last.
I love that.
Well, I make those for every week because Mrs. Mops comes in. So they made 80, and Mrs. Mops bought one, and 79 got pitched. Now that's profit.
Yeah,
out the window already.
Out the window.
So basically what I'm saying to them, if you have lots of Mrs. Mopses, it would be a nice idea, since she's been coming since time immemorial, that she actually be told that nobody much is asking for this recipe anymore, but we love you and we want you to have this recipe. So once a month, we are going to make this specially for you and gather up a list of people who actually buy that thing and get their email and say, okay, we're having a bake day once a month to just showcase this particular one because we know that you love it, but it's costing us money to afford to have it sitting on the shelves. And some of them make them and freeze them for when Mrs. Mops comes in. That's not going to work either because there's not 80 weeks in the year, which means that they don't need to be in the freezer occupying space, churning out electricity bills bit by bit and when it shouldn't be there. So we've had those kind of conversations, which I think it did finally sink in, even though they were adamant that they needed to keep the old customers happy, and I have nothing against old customers, for God's sake, I am one. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying pitch us all out the window. I'm just saying reevaluate the picture. So I think that's a fair kind of a thing to say to your customer, geez, we've been making this, but the young people are really awful. They don't want this anymore. But we don't want you to not have. So, can we make a deal? She's a regular lady. She's coming all the time. So, and that seems to me a reasonable compromise.
I think that's brilliant. And we cannot wait to see this show because, Kerry, it sounds like a great combination of just love for the industry and passion and updating folks with new ideas and drawing families together. It just sounds wonderful. The title is Save My Bakery. It is hosted by none other than Food Network's Kerry Vincent, and I learned this new nickname for her today, Dominatrix of Decorating, and I'll be tweeting about that.
Funny, that's going to follow me all over the place. I shouldn't have said it, perhaps, but so funny.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to remind all of our listeners to tune in. I believe that's on Wednesday evenings, correct, on Food Network?
Yeah, March 19th, and it's the little bit that I've had to say will be helpful to others, and I hope that the show itself, I don't want it to be just a pretty, and it is pretty.
Absolutely. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon, the Restaurant Brokers. Remember, you can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com. Take a moment and like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. Follow us on Twitter at Sell Restaurants. We Sell Restaurants is your industry authority and source for information. We are the Restaurant Brokers, Eric and Robin Gagnon.